What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sportscenter with Loro and Matt. As we have a lot to be talking about today, we got the Super Bowl championship parade to be talking about as the LA Rams are Super Bowl champions for the first time since 2000, as they won it as the St. Louis Rams, but they won it now as the LA Rams, and they're at SoFi Stadium. I know, Matt, you would have been there because I knew that Charger ticket holders might have gotten access to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, actually, I think it was only Rams and Bengals ticket holders that got some access. My friend Eric is a season ticket holder for the Rams, and he told me they put all the season ticket holders in a lottery, and they take like 5% of them, and they offer them basically seats that are not as expensive as what you would normally pay. But he did not get chosen, so he didn't go to the Super Bowl.
All right. Anyways, with that being said here, let's talk about our recap of Super Bowl 56. It was a really good Super Bowl, and I'll tell you what, the Bengals started out pretty good here. I mean, the Rams started out fast. The Bengals had the lead. Joe Burrow was somewhat hurt. Minor knee injury, sprained MCL, not that bad, but definitely he's going to have to do a lot of rehabbing for that. But also tell you what, the Cincinnati Bengals, that offensive line was a concern heading into this game.
Yeah, it was. They didn't give up too many sacks to Burrow, except a little bit in the fourth quarter. They started to get at him, and I think that was because the Bengals did a good job game planning to keep him safe and to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Bengals had a great game.
Yeah, the Bengals had a great game. And talk about the Rams, Matthew Stafford in that game-winning drive, he threw it to Cooper Kupp into the end zone for a touchdown, and then penalties were kind of a theme here in the fourth quarter. There weren't a lot of penalties here in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there were some big ones that happened later on. But
talk about T. Higgins getting away with a offensive pass interference. Getting away with an offensive pass interference.
Yeah, they missed a couple by both teams, but ultimately, no, that didn't have any effect on the game. I think that the players and the coaches, it was always within their control, and they did. It was a really entertaining game, very highly rated game, highest ratings in like 6 years or something. They were saying.
Yeah, imagine if it was Chiefs Rams, and the Rams could have still won that game by a point.
Yeah, what's crazy is the Rams don't have that big of a fan base, even though it's a big city, and the Bengals don't have that big of a fan base, and it still had these huge ratings. So, people wanted to tune in to see Joe Burrow, and I think Matt Stafford and Odell Beckham, and you had players like Jamar Chase and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and Von Miller. So you had a lot of good players to watch out there.
There are so many good players out there to watch out there for, but also what is your thoughts on Cooper Kupp winning the MVP of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well-deserved. I think there's an argument maybe Stafford could have gotten it, but I think Cooper Kupp, it's very well-deserved, and yeah, good for him.
I was wanting Matthew Stafford to win it, but there was like a funny meme that someone made on Photoshop saying that the Lions' old quarterback won.
Yeah. The Detroit Rams, right? Did you see those?
Somewhat, yes. I think they're the Detroit Rams is because the Lions have somewhat of the Rams coaching staff with you guys, and Brad Holmes is your GM.
Yep.
And I think Brad Holmes has done a great job.
Yeah.
Better than Bob Quinn did.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what was your thoughts on that final play when Aaron Donald made that strip sack incomplete?
Yeah, that was coming. Aaron Donald started to exercise his authority in the fourth quarter in particular. He just turned into a wrecking ball out there. And on that play, you just saw like he got penetration, and you just knew they apparently McVay was saying something, I forget the details, but he said that from the sidelines, as soon as he saw the offensive scheme and he knew what offensive scheme the Rams had, he said Aaron Donald's going to make a stop on this play. He just knew, like, it was set up that this offensive setup and this defensive setup, Donald's going to make a play, and he sure did.
He sure did make that play there, that's for sure here. But anyways, talk about Sean McVay's retirement rumors. Good thing he denied it. One of my thoughts was like, he's not retiring at age 36. Like, come on. Like, he said he wants to start a family and have kids whenever he gets married. He's supposed to get married this summer. But at the same time, I do think he's going to coach into his 60s. I don't get why he said he can't make it until his 60s.
Yeah, the main thing is being an NFL coach is a ton of work, and you can burn out. If you're not fired, you can definitely burn out. Especially someone like McVay, who's super passionate and type A, and he like he said, he's a younger guy. He's getting married. He wants to have kids. Like the guys that are in it for, like, Belichick's an old man. He has grandkids. Like he's not raising kids, anymore. Sean Payton he's an old man too. He's like 58, right? He's not raising kids. Although he apparently did get married recently to a new wife. So maybe that could have been part of the reason why he wanted to step away from the game. I think COVID has taken a lot of energy from a lot of people out there, just in any profession, but NFL is no different. I think there's some coaches that are like, they're tired of dealing with all the COVID stuff too, and they want to reevaluate things. And media has become so lucrative, and with half the pressure, not even half the pressure, like a tenth of the pressure, that it's like Sean Payton, he wants to go to media, right? And McVay, if you wanted to go to media, like any network would jump in and be like, we're going to give you a max contract to be a color commentator or a studio guy, right? I mean, it's just McVay, he's photogenic, he's talkative, he knows his stuff. Now he has a Super Bowl ring. Like, anyone would take him if he wanted it. So I get why he floated the rumors out there, but I also feel that he's a competitor, and I think he wants to go out there and try to bring it back, as he said. I think they want to go out and repeat.
Yeah, so you don't think McVay's retiring anytime soon? I think the Rams are going to give him an extension because I think Sean McVay is the right fit for the Rams.
Right, and remember too, another aspect of it too. You talk about the extension. I think McVay makes $8 million a year, which LA is an expensive city. Granted, $8 million, you could live off $8 million a year in LA, that's for sure. But when you compare him to Belichick, I think Belichick makes $15 million. McVay is going to say, "Hey, look, I want closer to $15 million, right? That's the going rate. Maybe even more than that." So we'll see what happens with that. So he's arguably underpaid. So he wants to float it out there that, hey, look, I can go to media and I can instantly make 10 or 12 million probably in media and not have to worry about all the stuff that he has to worry about as a head coach. So
you're saying is that you don't think McVay's retiring? He's not stepping away after the season?
No. Yeah, I think, I think too, I think he has some relationship with Gruden as like a mentor or something. And so,
you mean John Gruden?
Yeah. And, Gruden, he went to media for a while and then he came back to the NFL, and Sean McVay might feel the same way, that, oh yeah, I'll go to media for, who knows, 5 to 10 years and then come back. He would still be in his 40s, right? Take another team, and still coach there for another 10 years, So he's young. He has a lot of options for him. So good for him.
Oh, yeah, but I'm excited. I don't think he's retiring at the end of the season. I think the Rams are going to be one of the favorites to run it back next season.
Yeah, I think their issues that they're confronting are cap space. They're $14 million over the cap. You're going to have OBJ coming back from an ACL injury. Same thing with Robert Woods. You'll have, I forget who, but they have some notable guys that are going to be free agents. I think
Von Miller. Yeah. But I wonder if he'll be back next year.
Their kicker is going to be a free agent too, right?
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to keep.
Yeah, which, their kicking is interesting because I think kicking is undervalued. I think if you have a good kicker, man, that is just one check that you don't have to worry about anymore. The Ravens never have to worry about Justin Tucker or their kicking game, right? The Chiefs don't have to worry about Harrison Butker. And the Rams don't have to worry about Matt Gay. And so many teams out there do have to worry about their kickers. And it's like, we don't know if we can go for a field goal here. So having a good kicker, look at Cincinnati. Who's their kicker at Cincinnati?
Oh, are you talking about Evan McPherson?
Yeah, he was drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round or something like that. And, it paid off. He's a good kicker too. Like, take a kicker if you need a kicker. I mean, if you have good feelings about a kicker out there, take him. Like, that could be 10 years of just automatic.
Hey, Pat, I'll be right back. I gotta get the food real quick.
Okay. Yep.
And then, what was your thoughts overall on the halftime show?
Oh, I loved it. It was a good halftime show.
It was great. Like, finally, the NFL had a hip hop and rap halftime show, and the whole pregame ceremonies were really good too. Like, talk about Mickey Guyton blasting that national anthem.
Yeah, all very good entertainment. You wouldn't expect anything less from a city like Los Angeles.
Yeah, and then next year, Super Bowl 57, it's going to be in the desert in Arizona.
Yep.
And will the Cardinals even be the home team in the Super Bowl? I highly doubt that. I think Kyler Murray's the guy, but I just think the Cardinals are probably not going to keep up with the Rams or the Seahawks. Because I think the Cardinals will still be a good team. They're still, to me, they're a wild card team still.
Yeah, the NFC West it's going to be tough. I'd say even with the Rams, like, depending on who they lose in the offseason, it'll be tough for them to win the division again. Just, you have Seattle is not going to be as bad as they were this year, assuming they keep Russell Wilson. And the 49ers, like, they have McVay's number still. Like, I know the Rams beat him in the NFC Championship game, but prior to that, they had beat him 6 times in a row. And we'll see what Trey Lance is, what he's capable of. I've even heard there's rumors that Brady might want to come back and play. And
I don't know about that.
The 49ers would want to take him, his hometown team.
Well, if you look at it, Tom Brady is probably not going to be coming back. He's already happy with his decision, so don't speculate on it too much. I think Trey Lance is going to be good. I'm excited about the kid. I think the Niners could have a chance to win the division next year, because I think that with Trey Lance starting at quarterback, I think that the defense of the Niners will be good. I think Seattle's going to bounce back. The Cardinals will be good. And then the Rams. I think the Rams will still be a competitive football team. But the NFC West, like you said, Matt, it is tough as nails.
It sure is.
And it's a division that's kind of hard to predict. You and I have to do some best guessing on that when we make our division picks next year. Who's going to win? Like, we were right about the Rams this year. You and I could pick the Rams next year, and we could be wrong if it's not them.
Yeah, I think I was right in order of the division. I said Rams were going to win it, then Cardinals, then 49ers, then Seahawks.
Yeah. I had Seattle behind LA, and then Cardinals third and San Fran last, but all of them had winning records. But the Seahawks, unfortunately, this was their first losing season with Russell Wilson, and I was thinking to myself, Russell Wilson's not going to leave the Seahawks just having one losing season. He's going to want to go back go back on a mission next year.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll kind of look ahead to 2022. We kind of looked ahead to the NFC West. Let's go to the opposite, to the AFC West. So, you got your Chargers. I mean, you lost Frank Smith to be the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator. You'll see him when you go to a Dolphins and Bolts game. I know you're looking forward to that. And then I know that the AFC West still runs through Kansas City, but there's going to be challenges in that division.
There is, yeah. And Kansas City, they might be favorites over the Rams even to win it next year. It's possible. So yeah, the AFC West is still tough. I still think the Chiefs win the division. I think that the Chargers get a wild card, followed by the Raiders, followed by the Broncos.
You finally say, I think you're right. I'm with you. I think Justin Herbert finally gets a playoff appearance because last year he was so close. I didn't fault him for that, but I think that bad play call by Brandon Staley is going to come back to bite him.
Yeah, it might.
But I do think he's the right coach for the Chargers, though.
Yeah, I do too. I think they need to clean up the defense. That's what they need.
They draft well, and I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to draft the right players. But talk about some pending free agents that they might lose. Mike Williams, I heard that he could be coming to my Patriots, and he could join Hunter Henry there. And I'm like, Justin Herbert wouldn't want that to happen. I think Mike Williams will stay with the Chargers.
Right. Yep.
And what about Keenan Allen?
I think he'll stay. Yeah.
And then, do you think the Chargers might need another running back to complement Austin Eckler?
Probably. They've talked about getting a second running back. Yeah, and they need a right tackle.
Yes, Rashawn Slater was a stud. He was great this year. This past season, he was unbelievably good. Yep. And I do think that getting the right tackle will really help the Chargers in that sense. And I think that defensively, Bosa's great, but you need another pass rusher next to Joey Bosa.
Yeah, and you need some rush defense. You need an interior lineman to really get down on the run game.
But they also got Derwin James back, who I thought really helped the secondary too.
Oh, he's huge. Like, he missed a couple of games this year, including the Texans game, and it showed. Like, I mean, they lost that game at Houston. Like, Derwin James is great. He's my favorite defensive player.
And also talk about Asante Samuel Jr., who was like the best rookie on the Chargers this year.
Yeah, hopefully he stays healthy. He had some concussion issues, and I think he has the pedigree to be a great corner.
Oh, yeah. Talk about him and Michael Davis, and then talk about the Broncos. I think they need a quarterback, and I have them, like when we make our mock draft, I don't know who you have them taking. I haven't taken a quarterback in the draft, but I don't think they're getting Aaron Rodgers. I would love for them to get Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral, but I prefer Pickett because I prefer Kenny Pickett because, there's a speculation on like Rodgers joining the Broncos because of Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, like, even though Nathaniel Hackett's the head coach of the Broncos, it doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers is going to come. I still think Nathaniel Hackett's going to want his own quarterback, and he's going to want to move on from Drew Lock.
Yeah, he'll definitely move on from Drew Lock, yeah. And Teddy Bridgewater.
Not Bridgewater. I think he should stay as the backup and be a gadget player.
Oh, okay.
That's why I think that George Payton knows Teddy Bridgewater very well. And I think they could use him in like pistol formations while Pickett's kind of like that system type quarterback. I think the Broncos, I mean, Hackett will be a good coach for the Broncos, but I think the Broncos are going to need time. I don't think they're in a win now mode right now.
Yeah.
So do you think the Broncos are in a rebuild now still with this? Because you think that they're in an ownership transition and all that?
Yep, rebuild. And
then the Raiders. Talk about Derek Carr going to get a contract extension, and I'm excited to see him work with Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I still feel the Raiders are going to drop off a bit because I think they had 6 wins this year. That they were 6-0 in games determined by one possession, or no, it was. I think they went like to overtime 4 times or something like that. And
they won these. They've won in close game situations, and I think that I really think Josh McDaniels is going to do a great job with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think that law of averages says they'll come down a little bit. They had some breaks go their way that I don't think will go their way the next year.
I think they need a number 1 receiver. They need to get they need to get somebody to replace Henry Ruggs in the draft. Like, I have Drake London on my radar for the Raiders because I think I looked at him 6'5" from USC. He could bring that size and that deep threat ability that the Raiders need.
Yeah.
Because I think Renfro's good. Zay Jones is good. Darren Waller is good. Josh Jacobs is going to have another good season. And then the Raiders' defense is still going to be good too. But I think that the Raiders, they're not moving on from Derek Carr anytime soon.
Right.
And then the Chiefs, you know how good they are with Pat Mahomes and all that. Do they need a receiver? Somewhat, yes. But do you think they really need to focus on bolstering their defense?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then now we'll talk about looking ahead to the teams in the AFC South. I mean, that's kind of like the division that I think is still wide open. I think Tennessee and Indy will drop off just a bit. I see them being 10-7 teams because I think the Jaguars are going to make a big leap next year. I'm so excited for Doug Peterson to be the head coach of the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think I still think Tennessee will win the division, and I think the Colts will probably get in. Anyway, in their quarterback situation, I mean, that's a big piece, if they want to move off Carson Wentz or not.
The reason why I say Jacksonville winning the division, they're kind of my favorite to win the division next year, is because I think Doug Peterson is going to find a way to fix Trevor Lawrence. And I think that the Jaguars are going to have a really good offseason. And I think, and I really think that Trevor Lawrence, I think he's ready to be the best quarterback in the AFC South.
Yeah, that should be the expectation for him this year.
Over Ryan Tannehill and whoever the Colts have at quarterback, and for the Texans,
yeah,
you shouldn't count on them too much with Lovey, even though that they have Lovey Smith, because I know Davis Mills is their guy, but now I'm hearing that Deshaun Watson might be either traded to Tampa Bay or he might even be traded to Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree.
Who would you want Deshaun Watson to go to, Tampa Bay or Minnesota?
I think, either of those would be fine. I think, I don't really have a favorite for him. It's a legal situation, though. It's like, we don't know if he can even play.
He might not even play it down in the NFL again, but I think for me, the AFC South is wide open, but I'm picking Jacksonville just because of the better coach and Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Because I think Doug Peterson's going to be good. I think Doug Peterson is going to be a great head coach for the Jags. And you think that he's right? He's an upgrade. Do you think he's an upgrade over Urban Meyer?
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's definitely an upgrade for Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that Urban Meyer. I didn't even have the Jaguars winning the division this past season, even with Urban Meyer taking over, because I thought it was going to be a slow process. But it just turned out to be another disastrous season for the Jags.
Yeah.
So, anyways, talk about the NFC South. So now that Tom Brady's retired, Tampa Bay might even get Deshaun Watson, but can Atlanta make the playoffs in Arthur Smith's second year as the Falcons coach?
Nope. I don't. Well, I think he can, because it's such a weak division. It depends, though, what Tampa Bay does in New Orleans in the offseason, and even maybe Carolina. So,
well, don't expect much from Carolina, because the Carolina Panthers are probably going to be in last place again. Matt Rule's probably going to get fired. The Saints, I think they go young at quarterback too. Does Tampa Bay go with Deshaun Watson? That's possible, but right now, I want to favor Atlanta just because I think that Matt Ryan is still there, and I think that the Falcons, they could still be a team that could challenge Tampa Bay regardless of what Tampa Bay does at quarterback, Matt.
Yeah.
So someone said this. Justin Bosman said Calvin Ridley to the Patriots, and I'm like, I could really see that, but do the Patriots have the money to do that? I could guess Calvin Ridley should be a Dolphin. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Dolphins are Patriots for Calvin Ridley, because Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, said he would want to get Calvin Ridley back.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the AFC North. So I told you after the Bengals had that Cinderella run to the Super Bowl, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers are in trouble now.
That's correct, yeah.
And do you think you could favor the Bengals heading into next season, though, despite the loss to the Rams?
Do you think they'll be back, you said?
Do you think they're going to win the AFC North next year?
I'm going to say no.
And why do you say no?
I think Baltimore and Cleveland are too good to just let the Bengals run over that division. I think that Baltimore cannot be as injured as it was this past year. They're going to be better. And I believe Cleveland is too good of a roster. And I don't know what happened with Baker, but Cleveland beat Cincinnati both times this year. It should be noted. So, I think actually I'm going to go on a limb. I don't think the Bengals make the playoffs next year.
I disagree with you on that because I know that the Bengals have a bright future with Joe Burrow. And I think that the Bengals are going to fix their offensive line. They have a lot of money to spend this offseason. And I do think, and despite the Bengals losing to the Super Bowl, that's not the last time you're going to see the Bengals in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying next year, I think you have the Super Bowl hangover. I think they have a roster that still has a lot of weak points and a lot of things. They played well. Burrow's great. Jamar Chase is great, but I think they're going to be in a tough division. Pittsburgh might still be tough next year.
Well, if you look at the AFC North, that's still an unpredictable division, but I favor Cincy over Baltimore and Cleveland for me, just because I think you have the offense to do it, but I am confident that the Bengals are going to make some really good moves this offseason to fix their offensive line, their defense.
Yeah, they can try. But yeah, I still think they're going to be my surprise pick back to the playoffs.
Who's your surprise pick back to the playoffs? Did you say Baltimore or Cleveland?
I think from that division, I think Baltimore is going to make it. I'm going to go in on them. I think they'll win the division.
And do you say that because the Ravens are getting guys like Gus Edwards back? They're getting J.K. Dobbins back from injuries, because last year when they didn't make the playoffs, they were missing those two guys, and they were vital to their running game.
Yeah. So I think, remember they were 8-4.
Yeah, they were off to a good start, and then they just faltered.
Yeah.
But I know John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are good coaches too, and I think that division for me, it's going to be tough. Now I think, and do you think Baker Mayfield's going to show the Browns that he's still their guy?
Yeah, it's a close one. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I could see them sticking with him, but I could see them moving off as well.
They should stick with him. I mean, he had one bad season because of the injury, the non-throwing shoulder injury, but I do think that when he's healthy, he's going to be good. But the AFC North has turned out to being one of the best divisions in football, though.
Yeah.
And then what about, let's go to the NFC North. So we got some breaking news to talk about here is that the Green Bay Packers have hired Tom Clements to be the quarterback's coach. He has a really good relationship with Aaron Rodgers. And it looks like that Green Bay is convincing is doing a lot to convince Aaron Rodgers to stay. And I think with Tom Clements back, for sure Aaron Rodgers will be back in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that division? So Green Bay, they need a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, their defense is fine though. They were better last year, but my only concern with the Packers is special teams. But other than that, the Packers are still a good team that's still Super Bowl or bust. The Vikings, they just hired Kevin O'Connell as their next head coach, who I think is going to do a great job with Kirk Cousins, because they work together with the Redskins. And then the Bears, is Justin Fields ready to take that that next step in his development now that he has Luke Getsy as his offensive coordinator? I think he does with Getsy, but Eberflus is going to be just focusing on the defense of the Bears. And for your Lions, they need a quarterback. They need an heir apparent to Jared Goff, because I know that that's not his guy. But I do think that the Lions need a receiver. They also need and I think that they need a defense too, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go for a quarterback this year. I think they're going to go for offensive weapons, and I think they'll go for defense.
You mean the Lions?
Yeah.
And what do you want to see from the Lions in year 2 with Dan Campbell? Because this year was kind of a year like last year. The games that they played all year long, despite that they were in a rebuild mode, encouraging. They were competitive in football games. They were blown out in some games, but talk about Dan Campbell being an upgrade at head coach for the Lions over Matt Patricia.
Yeah, I think Dan Campbell, the expectations, I would say, get to 6 or 7 wins. Hopefully, that'd be really good. It's going to be tough sledding for them, though. I think 6 wins is probably what they'll be at, I think. But even if they don't get to 6 wins, if it's only 5 or 4, you got to wait till his 3rd year. You got to wait till he has a quarterback. You got to go with a longer plan. People like playing for him. They have a plan in place. That means that you don't try to get rid of a guy after 2 or 3 years.
Not like what the Dolphins did with Flores. Is the ownership of the Lions patient with Dan Campbell?
Yeah, they will be.
Because they weren't patient with Matt Patricia. Sheila Ford Hamp was not even patient with Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. She wasn't even patient with Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, I think they'll be patient with Dan Campbell, though. I think that with Patricia, he had lost the locker room entirely. Stafford wanted out of there. It was just, they're going to make a switch in that case.
And then with Campbell, you think he has a long-term vision for the Lions too?
Yes, I think he does.
I think he does too, but Jared Goff's not his guy. But you're saying that they're not going to get any. You don't think they're going to draft a quarterback this year,
right?
Yeah, I think that the Lions are. They need about 3 or 4 more years of this rebuild. But I think that Dan Campbell's brought in. It was a unique situation for him in his first year. I mean, he had head coaching experience with the Dolphins, but didn't you like the hire to begin with when you found out that he was your head coach?
Yeah, I liked him. Yep.
And then the Bears. Do you expect a lot from Justin Fields in year 2 after a rookie season that he kind of was like, hey, he can be their guy going forward? And I do think that Justin Fields is their guy.
Yes.
But what do the Bears need to do to be successful and be better now that the Nagy and Pace era is now over?
Well, I thought they had to bring in someone to work with Justin Fields a bit better, but Eberflus is a defensive guy, so do they know who their offensive coordinator is yet?
Luke Getsy. He was the Packers quarterbacks coach.
Okay, that's probably a good hire.
So you think Green Bay's in first, you think Minnesota in second, and you think Chicago will be ahead of Detroit still?
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
And for the Vikings, I know that they have Kirk Cousins. Do you think that he's their quarterback still?
Yeah, they're not going to move off him.
I think that the Vikings, they need the most is defense. Their defense was bad last year.
Yeah, and I mean that's Zimmer's forte is defense. Remember too that last year Cousins had good numbers. So
yeah, he did. I mean, I like Mike Zimmer. I think he's a great coach for the Vikings, but I just think that hiring Kevin O'Connell, he's going to be the guy that's going to run the offense, call the plays, and I think Ed Donatel, who's his defensive coordinator, is going to do a great job of that defense.
Uh-huh.
And do you think that with Tom Clements now back as the Packers quarterbacks coach, you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay now?
Yeah.
Because I told you that I think that the Packers need offensive weapons, but will the Packers even trade Jordan Love? Because I felt like that they should have not drafted him in the first place.
Yeah, they could, but I don't know what market they have for Jordan Love. Like, he looked bad out there against, it was Kansas City, but he didn't look good. And if if the Packers thought Jordan Love could be the guy, they probably wouldn't be so much into, kissing Aaron Rodgers' butt, all the time. So they probably would have said, yeah, go, go to Tennessee, go to Denver.
Actually, if you look at it, Matt LaFleur and Mark Murphy have already reiterated that they want Aaron Rodgers back.
Yeah, I think that says they don't like Jordan Love. And if the Packers don't like Jordan Love, when they have all these offensive guys around there trying to mentor him, even who's the head coach of the Broncos?
It's Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, he didn't turn Jordan Love into anything while he was there. So I think he's a bust, and I don't know who else is going to want Jordan Love.
So now that Tom Clements is now back as the quarterback's coach, you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to remain a Green Bay Packer? Because I told you that Aaron Rodgers loves Tom Clements.
Yeah, he'll probably stay in Green Bay, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it. But moving on to talk about the AFC East and talk about the Buffalo Bills again with a heartbreaking loss to the Chiefs in the divisional round. Is it unfinished business for the Buffalo Bills heading into next season?
Oh, yeah. I saw that Bill Simmons wrote that he thinks at the end of the day, the Bills are the best team in the NFL this year.
Well, if they didn't lose to Pittsburgh in the opening season in week 1, and then if they didn't lose to also if they didn't lose to Jacksonville, then they would have had a way better record than they had this year. But
I feel I'm not trying to say the Bills were the best team. They lost in the second round of the playoffs, but I think the Bills, if it weren't for them giving up 40 yards in 13 seconds to Mahomes, they would have gone on to the Super Bowl, and they just might have beaten the Rams. They would have beaten Cincinnati, I think.
Oh, yeah, they would have beaten Cincinnati. They play Cincinnati next year. And if you talk about the Buffalo Bills here, I think that the Buffalo Bills, they are, like you said, I think they're a couple of pieces away from being a Super Bowl team. I mean, as a Patriots fan, I hate to say it, but I have to admit, despite the Patriots making it back to the playoffs this past year, we'll talk about them in a minute, this Buffalo Bills team, I want to say that, are the Patriots ready to take over the Bills in the AFC East and take over that spot again? I'm like, they're still a long way from that. The Patriots are still a young football team with building around Mac Jones, which we'll talk about in a minute. As of right now, the AFC East runs through the Bills, and the Bills are right now the better team in that division right now, and it's a new era in the AFC East.
Oh, yeah, not to mention McDaniels left, and McDaniels is a big part of that offense. And have they hired Bill O'Brien?
Not yet. They might go offensive coordinator by committee. We'll have to talk about that in a minute because Joe Judge is now back with the Patriots as an offensive assistant. And I want to tell you my thoughts on if he could be promoted to offensive coordinator and have some help with a passing game coordinator and a run game coordinator, which I think would help Joe Judge's development being an offensive play caller because he's had experience with that side of the ball before. We'll have to talk about that in a minute. So you think the Buffalo Bills do you have to say that the Bills are not only your early favorite to win the division, but you think that the Bills, to you, with that heartbreaking loss to Kansas City, do you think that they're going to come back from this being more motivated than ever?
Yep. The AFC is still it's going to be a big mess next year in a good way. There's a lot of talent there. And I'll say, I think Buffalo is the best AFC team.
They are. I mean, you got Diggs, you got Beasley, and you got Knox, a tight end for the Bills. That defense was good this year. But I think that the Bills will not follow the Rams' approach to doing it. They want to build around. I think now with Emmanuel Sanders retiring, that creates a need for the Bills to kind of get a receiver in some way.
Right. Yep.
So talk about the Patriots now. So now with Josh McDaniels leaving, I kind of think you got to give Joe Judge a shot at being the offensive coordinator for the Patriots if Bill O'Brien is not there.
Yeah, that the way you described it, that situation seems like a mess. And it shouldn't be. They should be able to find someone to work with Mac Jones. I've always said Mac Jones, he's consistent, but he has a low ceiling. You can get offensive coordinator who can work with him. I don't think they'll be a playoff team this year, the Patriots. I think some things went their way this past year, including that nor'easter in Buffalo, which I don't know. Maybe that'll happen again. Who knows? It's Buffalo, right? But
it is Buffalo.
Yeah. So, I just don't, and they still don't have weapons, right?
Well, they got to get weapons for Mac Jones, which I think that they will. And I really want the Patriots to go after John Mechie in the draft, but he's probably going to be falling in the draft. I would like that. And I also think that the Patriots need to get I wonder if they address getting a wide receiver in free agency or in the draft, getting a number one target.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you trust Bill Belichick, but the whole offensive coordinator by committee for like a young developing quarterback like that doesn't seem that great. But
well, it worked out before when Charlie Weiss left and that Tom Brady was fine without one. So I could see how it could work with Mac Jones. They just need – I was talking about getting a passing game coordinator for the Patriots and then a run game coordinator.
Well, I mean, comparing him to Tom Brady, though, like Tom Brady could make a lot of things work because he's Tom Brady, but Mac Jones is a second-year quarterback.
I think Mac Jones is still gonna have a good season in year 2.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe there'll be a sophomore slump, though.
I don't think there will be a sophomore slump in him. I think that Mac Jones is their guy going forward, and I do think that the Patriots. And you don't think next year the Patriots are going to be back in the playoffs?
No, I think the Bengals and the Patriots and the Raiders do not make the playoffs again.
And then talk about
the Steelers don't make it either.
And talk about the Dolphins. Now that Mike McDaniel's now taking over as the head coach, I think that it's going to really help Tua Tagovailoa's development, and he's going to prove he has something to prove next year.
Uh-huh.
And do you think the Dolphins are going to be ahead of the Patriots?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. I guess it'll come down to free agency and the draft,
It will. You're right about that. And the Jets. What do you expect from Zach Wilson in year 2? You think that the Jets will be better than 4-13?
I don't know. I still don't know if Robert Saleh can coach.
He's still the coach, and the players love playing for Robert Saleh.
But can he coach, though? Like, you need to win more than 4 games, so we'll see.
None of the Jets' failures earlier this past season was really his fault, though. But I do think that. But if you look at the AFC East, you think you're favoring the Bills again?
Yeah.
And then talk about the weakest division in the National Football League, the NFC least. Do you favor the Cowboys winning that division now, despite Mike McCarthy coming back?
Oh yeah, they'll win the division. Yeah.
But it's going to depend on if they're going to make a deep run of the playoffs. Can they make a deep run of the playoffs?
Yes, I think they can. It's the NFC, and they, with Brady retiring, the Bucs, the NFC South is going to be pretty bad. So you got the NFC South is probably the worst division in football next year. Then you have NFC East. Cowboys should win. So you get the Cowboys, Rams, Packers. You'll some combination of Arizona, San Francisco, maybe Minnesota.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking that I think that the Cowboys will win the division. What about the Eagles? Do you think that they're ready to challenge the Cowboys in the NFC East with Jalen Hurts at quarterback?
No, I think the Eagles will take a step back.
And what about the Commanders?
No, they won't make the playoffs.
And what about
neither will the Giants.
And the Giants, you think they need time to rebuild with Dable, but you think Brian Dable's the right coach for the Giants?
He's a good hire. Yeah, good hire.
All right, now let's talk about some awards here. So what's your thoughts on Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons being rookies of the year on both offense and defense?
Well deserved, yeah.
And then Cooper Kupp and TJ Watt being offensive and defensive players of the year.
Yeah. Once again, good, yeah.
And then Joe Burrow. Who would have thought that he would be comeback player of the year?
Oh yeah, he deserved it for sure.
And then the Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. How about Andrew Whitworth?
Yeah, deserving, very deserving.
And then Aaron Rodgers MVP. Did you think he should have won MVP? Did you think he earned it?
No, I always thought it sucks that the MVP is only a regular season award because I think you should be able to include playoffs in the voting. That's ultimately where you make your legacy is the playoffs, right? And man, it's just a joke to give it to Aaron Rodgers when he laid a complete egg against the 49ers in his last game. And so I think it should have probably been Joe Burrow. I think he was that good this year.
And then
he went to the Super Bowl.
And then what about Coach of the Year? Were you surprised about Mike Vrabel winning it?
No, he dealt with so many injuries. He was a good selection.
And then talk about the Hall of Fame class this year. You got Richard Seymour, Dick Vermeil, Tony Boselli, Leroy Butler, Cliff Branch, Bryant Young, Art McNally, and Sam Ellis. Which members stand out to you in this year's class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
No one really. They're all kind of deserving.
No, what about Dick Vermeil? Because he was part of the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner.
Yeah, it's good. He's going in.
My dream Hall of Fame class should be Tom Brady with Drew Brees, and then I think Bill Belichick should go in with Tom Brady. So, anyways, let's talk about some basketball here. So, the Lakers ended the first half of the regular season on a good note, Matt. Talk about them beating the Utah Jazz in come-from-behind fashion.
Yeah. So, that was good. Very good for them.
So, what's your thoughts on Anthony Davis being hurt?
But yeah, that's the big question mark now. That looked like a painful injury. That could have just been a rolled ankle or something. But, if he goes down, they have no shot.
And then also, talk about your Detroit Pistons. What grade would you assess them in the first half of the season?
A D, but that's all right. It's a wasted season. And as Dwayne Casey said, these teams better get their licks in now because it won't be like this 2 years from now.
Well, the funny
they
thing
beat Boston the other day.
Oh my God! Wouldn't you want to laugh at that?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Boston's playing better as of late.
Yeah.
So, anyways, talk about All-Star Weekend. What do you expect in the Rising Stars game? Because who's your pick to win that? Who's your pick to win the Rising Stars game on Friday night? Do you pick Team Worthy or do you pick Team Peyton?
Oh, I don't know. Either I haven't followed it close enough. Which one do you pick?
No, I picked Team Worthy because it's Team Worthy versus Team Isaiah, Team Peyton versus Team Barry. I think Team Worthy versus Team Isaiah, Team Peyton will be playing in the final. And then we'll talk about the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. Who do you like to win that one and why? We'll tell you who's going to be in that. We'll tell you who's going to be in that in just a minute here. So, anyways, we'll tell you in a minute here who's going to be in that here once we find it. We'll tell you in a minute here. Just still trying to find who's in that. So, anyways, it's Trey Young. It's the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. You got Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley for Team Cavs. Team Antetokounmpo's will be Alex, Giannis, and Thaddeus. And then Rooks, Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Josh Giddey. I'm actually going to go with the Antetokounmpo's.
Yeah, me too.
And then talk about the Mountain Dew 3-point contest. That's my favorite contest of them all. Desmond Bain, Luke Kennard, Zach LaVine, CJ McCollum, Trae Young, Fred VanVleet, Karl Anthony Towns, and Patty Mills. My pick is Trae Young.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
And then the slam dunk competition. I mean, it has been rigged in recent years, and I have not been happy with how the judges have really handled it. But my pick is Obi Toppin.
All right.
What about you? Who do you want to win the slam dunk contest?
Obi Toppin as well.
And he got robbed last year, though.
Yeah.
And who is your pick to win the All-Star game? Is it Team LeBron or Team Durant? I'm going Team Durant because I'm not a LeBron fan, and I never will be that big of a LeBron fan as well.
I'm going with Team LeBron.
And who is the Kobe Bryant All-Star game MVP?
I'm going to go with I'll go with LeBron.
Oh, you mean because he's the captain of the team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Team Durant, and Jason Tatum will be the MVP because he got inserted to replace Kevin Durant in the All-Star game because of injury.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, now with that being said, here we'll talk about some baseball here. And today's meeting was not good. I'll tell you that. They've only met for 15 minutes. But, however, the playoff format is set. 7 teams per league. Teams with the best record gets a bye, goes to the division series. Top remaining division winner picks opponent form a 4 wild card teams and play best of 3 games at home. Then the 3 division winner does the 3rd division winner does the same. What are your thoughts on that?
Say it again. The playoff format.
It's 7 teams per league. Teams with the best record gets a bye and goes to division series. Top remaining division winner picks the opponent from the 4 wildcard teams and plays best of 3 all games at home. And then the 3rd division winner does the same.
Huh. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I have to think about it more. What do you think of it?
It might be good for baseball too, but I'm kind of anxious about this whole lockout to get to be put to an end here.
Yeah, things aren't looking good.
Yeah, things are not looking good right now, Matt. And do you think that it's going to end before the end of February or something like that?
No, I don't think so, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I still think we're going to have a season, though. But we might see some delays to it. But Major League Baseball hasn't even announced it yet.
Yeah, well, spring training's not even close to getting started.
No, it's not. They need something done by March 1st, though. So, anyways, now that being said here, talk about some hockey real quick before we end this. So, talk about the Canadian women's hockey team winning the gold medal, and also the Kings getting a loss over the Edmonton Oilers.
Uh-huh.
What is your thoughts on the women's national hockey team winning the silver medal for the U.S.?
Oh yeah, well they were defending gold medal champs, so they fell a little bit short this year, but good for them. Silver medal is quite an accomplishment.
And then the Kings lost to the Oilers 5-2. What is your thoughts on that?
Kings are still all right. They're playing pretty good.
And then your Red Wings, they're back to action. They take on the red hot New York Rangers. So the Red Wings are right at 500. They're at 50 points. And what do you expect from them in the second half of the season?
They'll keep motoring along, and they'll probably finish a little bit out of the playoff picture, but they've shown some really good improvement this year.
They sure have. But anyways, Matt, we'll talk next week, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. See you, Loro.